The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Brian Caprice from Keep Trading Simple, and welcome to Tuesday's Trade Talk, analyzing potential opportunities in Nadex markets. Very cool week this week, right? We have a holiday coming this weekend. It's one where, traditionally has been barbecues, beer, and, lots of fun with family. This year, I'm sure will be much more tame than it typically has been in the past. But again, interesting trading week. We have a lot compressed into a couple days. And I'll show you guys in a sec, but this is, and again, I just want to get this out there. Non-farm payroll is this week, but is bumped forward. So it's very, very rare we ever have it on a Thursday, but this week it's a bit early. So we want to make sure that, again, we're prepared for that ahead of time. So with that being said, let's just jump right into everything this week. For those of you that don't know me, again, welcome to our presentation. This is a weekly series that we do, and what I do is I will break down kind of the week at a glance. We'll look at everything from news to kind of current chart setups and things that I'm looking for potential trade opportunities for the week. I've been trading since about 2000, so kind of seen a varying, I was gonna say, kind of a wide range of different market conditions. Started as a retail trader, learning stocks and options, didn't really have much business being there. Went to seminars, books. There was really no YouTube. Saw the tech bubble crash. Ended up finding Currencies about 6 years into my trading career. Fell in love with that one. Tried to advance my knowledge as well. Became a financial advisor, working for one of the big three banks. Learned that really was not what advisors were about, but I did learn an interesting side of wealth management that I hadn't learned before. Realized very quickly that for me, my passion is teaching people how to do this instead of doing it for them. So I've created a number of different classes. I traveled between the US and Canada around for about 6 years, helping people learn how to trade the markets, creating their own strategies, analyzing their strategies. I have a couple Nadex specific classes, 30-minute trader, 5-minute binary courses, high volatility trading courses. I'm a price action trader. So if you guys are looking at my charts and you're looking for MACD and stochastics and RSI, those typically are not my go-tos. I know how to use them and I can use them as a backup, but I try to keep my charts as simple as possible. I do use horizontal boxes. If you guys see some boxes in my charts, those are areas where I have potential buyers or sellers. But for the most part, I read candles. All right. So if you are unfamiliar with what I call price action, or other people call price action, that's what we're going to be discussing today. Above and beyond that, I'm not one of those guys that spends 18 hours in front of the day sitting there trading. I may very much use technology to really tell me when I need to be back. I definitely have certain times a day that are my absolute favorite. There's about a half hour every day where I make sure that I am dialed in. But for the most part, I use technology. I spend time with my family, the boys, they're twins. Homeschooling was interesting. I was in charge of that this spring, and the little one is now 2. So she is mobile everywhere, talking, potty training. And the parents out there, you guys know how that goes. So again, I do keep busy. But I absolutely love, and without a doubt, my biggest passion is teaching people how to trade. So my goal today is that you guys get at least one golden nugget, whether it be a potential trade setup, something that I have discussed. I know over recent weeks, one of the strategies that I trade, I've had many people email me about it, and I'm all willing to give you guys every little aspect of that strategy. Again, I'm here for you guys, and very appreciative that I'm able to partner with Nadex for these presentations. So before we can begin, let's cover the Nadex risk disclaimer. Trading on Nadex involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors. Trading can be volatile, and investors risk losing their cost to enter the transaction, including fees. The information presented within this presentation is for informational and education purposes only and should not be considered an offer or solicitation to buy or sell any financial instrument on Nadex or elsewhere. Any trading decisions that you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Nadex contracts are based on underlying asset classes, including Forex, stock index futures, and commodity futures, and we will cover all 3 of those today. Nadex is a registered trademark of the IG Group. That's it. Let's just dive right in. So first things first, guys, what I want to do is I want to cover the upcoming news events for the week. Now, this morning we had some interesting news come out of Chicago, and about 2 hours ago we had some excellent news come out of consumer confidence. Great news looking forward. Now, in about 25 minutes from now, Fed Powell chief starts testifying, so that's always going to be a bit interesting, but I'm going to break down what's happening the rest of the week. Wednesday and Thursday are the 2 most important days of this week as far as news goes, so I'll cover that. Then what I want to do is I want to break down indices, where we are, what could potentially be happening in the next 2 days, per se. Then we'll cover Forex. Now, Forex does have a full week. Friday will be a bit interesting. And again, I won't be trading Friday, but there are countries and currencies and things like that open and trading. And I'll tell you kind of how you can deal with that. So if you guys are off on Friday, you're not working for, the celebration of the 4th. Again, you can still get in there in the currency market and trade those. And I'll tell you kind of how you would trade a holiday Friday in the currency market. And then again, I'll cover commodities. The big one this week is going to be oil. And I would say this week, oil is probably not as important. I mean, I know gold put in all-time highs a bit ago, I guess. Oil next week would be the really big one. And I'm going to kind of plant that seed right now. You don't want to miss oil next week, okay? Reason why is with the 4th going, a lot of people this year aren't flying. They're not traveling. A lot of people are taking road trips, okay? Road trips require gas. That is demand. Now, this entire week, the oil industry has been kind of prepping, preparing, turning the dials, making sure that, oil and gas is where it needs to be. But until next week, we really don't have a reading of how much we kind of either ate into the supply or didn't use it, right? So next week would be a very interesting oil release. But again, we'll prep for it this week, and we'll, I'll kind of show you what my feelings are going into tomorrow. But I think next week is going to be a real big oil play. So again, if you're not accustomed to it, maybe look at it this week and be ready for it next week. Okay. All right. So first things first, let's go right into the news releases. Whoops. I got things popping up all over the place. There we go. All right. So Forex Factory is my preferred kind of data site, right? You guys have seen me use this in the past. I like it because I do love this scanner at the top. I wish every website had a simple scanner like that, giving you the information you wanted right in your face. As you can see, as far as what things are moving, you can see the pound is definitely moving. 96 pips in the pound dollar and 114 in the pound yen in the last 24 hours. And look at the dollar. Collapsing versus the Swiss, collapsing versus the Canadian dollar. And in fact, look at this, the euro pound, the pound is getting some strength. Again, why? Could be a number of different reasons, okay? Going into this morning, you can see that the Canadian government had their GDP reading this morning, and their GDP numbers actually came in better than expected, which, again, could probably be leading to this CAD strength in this position, right? Chicago PMI, I just mentioned, it came in not as good as they expected, right? But look at this consumer confidence number. A 10 a.m. release for consumer confidence with a 98.1, and it was expected to be 91. That's good. That leads to good days, right? You gotta love it when the consumer confidence is higher. That means people are going to keep spending money, right? That tends to be good, and there's a carryover effect on that. Now, Powell speaking could throw a little monkey wrench into some trades today. So when we're breaking down the charts, just keep that in mind. He will start speaking right in the middle of today's presentation. There will be a little bit of a delay for things that he says. And again, this is important. This is testimony along with Secretary Munchin, I always say Munchin, before the House Financial Services Committee. So whenever it's something in front of a House committee, there also tends to be some type of political motive in the questions that are asked, which could, again, either stimulate or, again, kind of smack the market down a little bit, right? So keep that in mind for today. So going into tomorrow, as we know, Wednesday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time is that oil inventory report. Now, it's not listed up here because this is more of a currency-specific site, but tomorrow morning, right, we have this 8:15 ADP non-farm employment change number. Now, these numbers have been absolutely crazy. As you can see, right, here's our history. Here's some of the forecasts for what we've seen. They expected there to be a 9 mil. It was only down 2.7. The forecast tomorrow is 2.8 million jobs, okay? 2.8 million more people will be employed. So the hope and the kind of focus, the market is already kind of factoring that in. If this number is not as high, that could turn the market sour real quick tomorrow. So again, we just got to keep watch for that, right? So that's going to be tomorrow. Then at 10, we have ISM manufacturing. ISM manufacturing is not bad. Again, 49.5 is important because it's super close to 50. 50 shows an economic expansion or a manufacturing expansion. We're very close to kind of saying, yep, we are not contracting, we are growing again. So again, that could be interesting. If that pops over, we have a good ADP number. This could be some nice fireworks for tomorrow. And then again, obviously 10:30, the oil inventory report. FOMC meeting notes are 2 tomorrow. I wouldn't imagine too much will be earth-shattering in that. You always want to be a little bit careful with that 2 o'clock number. Just make sure that if you do have positions on, you guys will be protected tomorrow. And then tomorrow night, we have some Aussie data. And you guys know I preach about it every week. I absolutely love the Aussie dollar to trade at night, particularly at their news. Why? Because it's at 9, 9:30, 8:30 p.m. It's after my kids go to bed. I'm locked in the room. I can look at the charts, no distractions whatsoever, and there's always some great moves off of that, especially in the currencies market. Now, diving into Thursday morning. Okay, normally this non-farm payroll number is on Friday, but obviously with this week, everything had to be bumped forward. So this is how we go in Thursday. Okay, we have our average hourly earnings month over month, and again, that's kind of negative there. Not surprised. It's a month over month number. We have our non-farm payroll number, which again is supposed to be 3 mil, right? This could be a big one. Non-farm is one of the biggest movers in the entire market, and then the unemployment rate at the same time. Now, the unemployment rate, I think, is going to be probably a bit more impactful than the NFP number this week. And the reason why is this, okay? The presidency was very big on lowering the unemployment rate. And we had it down to I think a 3.5. Up at 12 doesn't really do, it's not really the greatest number, right? And we're starting to progress further. I mean, we're hearing about elections and this candidate versus that candidate. The unemployment rate needs to come down, okay? If this is higher, that could be bad. If this drops back into the 9 range, again, that's really, really good because we are definitely not out of the COVID-19 crisis yet. Florida is shutting bars down again. Texas is closing taverns. Arizona, just a day or two ago, closed down bars. Water parks and movie theaters again. So some states are seeing kind of a backlash and starting to close things back down again, which again, that could help, kind of push this back. So we'd like to see this have a good number. And again, the unemployment claims number, we won't see the new closings until next week. So again, the next week number may be interesting. And again, who wants to close bars the week before July 4th? I mean, bars are yeah, we're going to make some money. And then bam, they got shut down again. And again, it makes sense. The states don't want the people out there at the bars for the 4th of July. So I get it. I get it. But again, in the economic numbers, this could definitely lead to some movement. Now, here's something that's very important, okay? Make sure that you guys keep in mind that although this date is at 8:30 in the morning, we got nothing on Friday. It's a holiday weekend. July 4th is Saturday. Okay, most people are off on Friday the 3rd, right? Well, typically, noon the day before big vacations is when Wall Street is we out of here. We're going to the Hamptons. We're out. See ya. I mean, I used to work up in New York, so I know exactly what it's like. The Friday before holidays, the market just starts to settle and they are out. Okay, so just be cautious. If you're trading indices, remember about noon on Thursday is when people are trying to beat the traffic and get the heck out of town, right? Now, Friday, I said there's interesting opportunities on Friday. You'll notice, wait a second, how is the pound open? Well, as you can imagine, the UK is not the biggest fan of July 4th, right? So they are not celebrating July 4th. So there are countries still trading. Now, if you guys want to trade on Fridays, you can definitely do that in the currencies market because it doesn't really close, right? What we will have on Friday is a situation where we have lower volumes because, again, U.S. money is not out there. U.S. banks are not trading. So it will be a lighter traded market, which tends to have a little bit more volatile moves. Now, by noon, everybody's done, right? Because there is no U.S. market trading it. But by noon, it's done. But early morning, even Thursday night, there will be some trade setups, particularly in the euro, in the pound, and again, maybe even some Aussie trades, right? And here's why. The dollar cannot defend itself. If European traders want to make the dollar more expensive so people are not buying things from the United States over that 4 or 5 day period of time, they can do it. The dollar can't fight back. If they want to make the dollar weak, again, there's nobody to fight them back again. So if you guys aren't going anywhere, you want to trade before you leave town, check out the currencies over there on Fridays. Those are always, great little, great little hidden days to trade, right? There's some good opportunity. All right, so that is our week at a glance. All right, so let me pull charts back up again. Let's go right over and start looking at the indices. So NQ. As you can see, this is the Nasdaq. Over the last few hours, right, this thing has been going straight up, right? And again, this kind of reversal happened between the 9 and 10 o'clock time frame. This is kind of the 10 o'clock frame, one past us green, but for the most part today, we have been straight up. Now, last night, again, I have some of these drawings from my group last night. I used the same platform for it. I have an area approximately in this area. Again, my numbers are going to be a little bit off because my data is based off of ECN data. It's not exactly come from the CME. So my numbers are going to be slight off, but again, you can see the drawings and see where kind of the supply zone in this case is built. We have rallied all the way up to an area, okay? Whenever you see this, the market is typically adjusting. And again, the data this morning has been phenomenal. That consumer confidence number is amazing, right? Here's the kind of caveat that, there's one gentleman that can, there's two people that can really throw a monkey wrench into this kind of rally today, right? One of them is the president, obviously. He could tweet, but he's not big into kind of sabotaging the market. But the other one is Powell. Okay, and he's going to be testifying in front of the House committee, right? And they could ask him questions that could easily debunk this very, very fast. All right, so we are approaching a level, right, where we have seen sellers step in. As you can see, there was a zone here, and the last two times it hit it, it was forcibly pushed down. Now, there is a small zone, and I will say that this is a potential selling area. Nadex is absolutely perfect for this because, again, if we put some type of a position on, if it jumps all the way here, we are protected. Because, again, it is Powell. He could say something that absolutely spikes us up and we hit an all-time high because of something he says. Most likely that's not the case, but it's always possible when you have somebody as powerful as the Fed chief talking. So there are shorts in this area. There's actually a knockout. I don't have the knockouts up on this chart, but there's a knockout that's in range. It is not bad. There are some binary positions that are not bad on here as well, all to the short side, okay? Again, the most important thing to focus on here, and again, moving into this area, the risk is rather small. Just make sure you're controlling that risk. Maybe use something a little bit farther out of the money, but ideally, with what we have coming in the next few days, a knockout close to, in this case, the ceiling is a great option. Okay, and the reason why is because, again, if we do get a spike above, you're covered. You can control your risk and take small risk. We can get some big moves with the ADP number, the non-farm number, with Powell speaking, all to pop this thing back to the downside. Now, nobody wants to go into the weekend negative, but it doesn't mean that it can't happen. All right, so that's what I'm looking for in NQ, the small zone that we have going right here. And again, if Powell is able to punch through, remember the all-time high level is also another area where there could be some nice potential shorts going into non-farm numbers, particularly if those non-farm numbers are disappointing. Okay, now going into S&P. Okay, now the S&P, it ended up going through this small little level that I had marked off, but it's actually in the same exact situation right now. Okay, we got some things at the bottom. So we're actually in a zone right now based off of this chart. And again, match it with yours as well. The number is going to be a little off. It's close to this 30.84. But this last time price was here, same thing. Price was forcibly pushed back to the downside. As you guys can see, again, we've been in this zone a few times. The zone really started to form back at this level. So again, it's hit 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be hit number 5. Typically, number 5, I would be extremely leery about getting in again. But the reaction that this had was really nice last time. So it's kind of hard to ignore that. That again, we are in another area where it appears that we've had a potential sellers here and that we could be looking for shorts. I would recommend the same thing on this one. I would say knockouts are probably the way to go here. There is a binary that is not bad as well. And again, I don't have them up on this chart. But there are some potential ones in here. Actually, let me see. I can probably just pull them real quick. We'll do it on my other. Oh, it's funny. All my links are like broken. I don't know if you guys saw. Did you guys? And if you guys haven't been over there, have you guys seen the Nadex's new website? My links, like my notices site, it's now notices/all. So there's a couple things that are a little bit different from the links that I have. But if you haven't gone over there, go check the new Nadex website out. Let me go to knockouts real quick. Let's see, for the S&P, I can just give you guys the information real quick. Let's pull this up. Let's see. There is, the indicative value right now is 30.73. And we are, again, it's the exact same. The drawing is the same, just the numbers are slightly different. So we're in a zone right now. It looks like there is a knockout, knockout number 17. I'll make you guys actually go in there and check it out to see if the risk profile matches what you're looking for. But there's one that's actually not really horrible there. It's pretty close. We're within 4, so it's right up to that kind of knockout bracket. There's another one, knockout 28, which is just a little. Actually, hold on. Yeah, knockout 28 actually may be a little bit better of an option. You guys can see we're about 10. We're about 14 right now. I'd wait for it to go just a bit higher. Could be a nice little option there as well to the downside. And again, if we're wrong, make sure you can try that controlled risk, that lower, kind of entry. I don't mind the 4 risk, but again, Powell can have a little bit of volatility when, as soon as he starts speaking in about 10 minutes for that one. And again, that would be knockout 17. Going across to the Dow. So the Dow is also in a level, and this is a zone that I had marked off for my group, and you can see that there was the entry last night. Let's see, this entry, actually, I guess it would have kicked in right for me last night for chart school would have been in this area. So we already entered the trade. We ended up hitting profit target. So we're kind of in that zone. This one has a little bit more room to run. Let me pull knockouts real quick on this one as well. Let's see. The indicative value right now for this is 25,531, which is off by a little bit on this one. So let's see. There is a 25,640, which is about 10 points away, knockout number 11. The next one is about 100 points higher. So this is an interesting situation because we have a knockout very, very close to where price is right now. Again, being very close, it does have a little bit higher of a risk with a little bit of choppiness that it will get taken out. The next one is about 100 points higher. So that would put us more up into this range. And again, nice trade setup. And again, ignore this number. This is off by a little bit, but knockout number 20 inside of the Wall Street 30 would be one you guys would be that I would say that is worthwhile looking at. And again, that's if we can get a spike from Powell today. If he spikes us up, we're sitting into an area where the last time sellers stepped in, this thing had a very violent move down at base and it continued to push down. So this was quite a big move the last time price was higher. So if we are not taking a turn off of this level, which again, it looks like we want to, if we're able to punch higher because Powell says something very positive, that's where we're looking for a reversal off that higher level, most likely the knockout number 20. Now, again, you have to be willing to take that risk if you're interested in taking that trade. So those are the 3 indices. So let's dive across and go into currencies real quick. Oh, I see the question button flashing. I don't know what you mean when you say knockout number 20. Are you using the old version in Nadex? Yeah, I actually have the old version up still, but I believe that they're still named. I mean, the prices are exactly the same. But yes, I have the old platform up. That is my favorite of the 2 right now. I haven't really fully switched, but when I'm talking about knockout 20s, I'm talking about this. See these in here? This is what I'm talking about. Like knockout KO20, that's what I mean by knockout 20. Okay. And yeah, when I hit login, it automatically loads me into this one. So I've been trading Nadex for a few years now, guys. So I'm a creature of habit. I am so used to that one. Yeah. Okay. So that the numbers are on there. I thought the numbers were still on there so they could keep tracking of it, but if they're not, you guys can still figure out where the numbers are. Okay. The longer I trained, I find that only about my 3 favorite trades. Most of the time it's helped me. Oh, you're very welcome, Roger. All right, so let's go into currencies because currencies is going to be trading this week. Pretty crazy. All right, so you've seen, we know the gold obviously is having a great day. Well, guess what else had a big day? The Aussie. Aussie is moving, right? So on an hourly basis, you can see that we really have been channeling. So I'd marked out this level last night for my guys and said, hey, listen, watch this, right? So we've been kind of channeling back and forth. Now, it ended up punching through here before going higher, but look at this thing. This is directly due to the news that we had this morning. And this thing has been on a mission going higher, right? On a mission. So I'll move this so we can see it again, right? So this was a zone from a smaller level entry. We not only blew through this zone, we launched ourselves higher, okay? Now, whenever you see this much movement in this short of a period of time, the first thing that you need to be thinking about is some type of a reversal. Now, the zone, unfortunately, that it went to is not really well pronounced. Even on the 30-minute, you can see looking to the left, and I'll put a horizontal line. And again, guys, this is price action. This is how you find where potential reversals exist. Looking to the left, you can see what happened last time price was here, right? Price came down and really going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It finally cleared the level. And if you wanted to draw a zone in here, you could draw a zone and say, hey, listen, we had basing, it pushed down, it came back, it pushed down and came back up again and touched and then kind of pushed away. So we are in a level where there is potential reversals. I would have to say the rest of the day for me in this one, I have to say I'm probably, on a technical level, I would say that I would be bearish, okay? The only caveat to that is in 5 minutes, Powell is speaking. So again, for me, I'm kind of thinking, and for those of you that know some of my strategies, one of the strategies that I trade a lot is called a parabolic retracement. I've done a number of different webinars. If you guys haven't heard about that, head over to YouTube, go to Nadex's page and look under past webinars, and you guys will see, I believe it was like November, December timeframe, maybe even January this year. I did a special webinar on parabolic retracements. It was kind of a way to give back. And what it talks about is how to play retracements off large kind of spikes. This is pretty much, minus this little hiccup here, pretty much a definition of what a parabolic retracement looks like. Large spike up, and then we retrace back to the origin of the move. So there's a decent amount of room here to run to the downside. Again, watch this little kind of pick in here. That will kind of inhibit it slightly. But again, I'd be looking for this one to be bearish in the near term. Looking at on a larger time frame, you can see it's really more or less consolidating on the larger time frames, right? We had these highs put in, lower high, lower high, lower high. Here's your low, here's a higher low, here's a higher low. So it's really consolidating kind of price in. It's kind of forming that really extended range wedge. And you can see on 4-hour candles, we really just moved sideways here last week. So although we got a nice spike, it is hitting a small zone right now. I would imagine it retraces down. And in my eyes, this one to me, at least on a larger, larger kind of extended range, I think we're going to have continued basing. If by chance Powell says something that is absolutely just reeking of dollar weakness, look for a spike up into this zone in this 79.50-ish range for potential shorts. And again, you can see it on the 4-hour level, but you can also see it in the hourly. Again, nice spike up, price pushed, not only pushed away, but when it tried to come back up and breach new highs, sellers stepped in and smacked this puppy down. So again, got to be looking for the 69.56 range. All right. Aussie yen. Aussie yen is another one. Now we had a zone in here, and this is one of those areas that it got respected and ended up popping back down again, hit it again, and then finally failed. It kind of went up and went down again. So it's a level at this point that just didn't make a whole lot of sense. Again, after it kind of handled its business here, this is where Friday ended, and we kind of bounced into Monday. So typically you don't want to hold something like this over the weekend. You want to see where price starts. And again, it rallied to that zone. And at this point, I'd be looking for new opportunities, right? So we can take that off and delete that one because I wouldn't use that one again. Now, here's a level that we talked about last week, okay? For those of you that were here last week, right? The date last week, oh God, I can't even remember it. The 23rd, okay? That was right. Let's see, let's pull our time. There's 12, here's the 23, right here. Okay, this is where we were last week. If you remember me mentioning this, we had a zone here and we talked about how we got front run on that zone, okay? The whole rest of the week, and I mentioned, if we get back up at that 74.50, probably worth looking at yet again. As you can see, the price did nothing but kind of can push down. It did not give us the entry for the Harry Potter trade that we're looking for. It ended up not missing it, or ended up not hitting it. We missed. So again, it is still a valid entry for me down here. But as price came back up, as you can see, it ended up tagging that 74.28. I'm sorry, 74.48, and we ended up getting a pop back down from it. So interesting scenario. It's kind of the same place that we are with the Aussie dollar being in a supply zone. The Aussie yen is also in a supply zone. And then again, we'll kind of see where some of the other positions are in regards to what the yen is. But again, Powell will have some control over this pair. This is one of my favorite pairs to trade at night. And if you guys remember, we do have some Aussie news later on this evening. That, again, another type of parabolic situation where it spiked almost straight up, looking for this to turn and kind of pull back down to, again, because if nothing has really changed, things will pull back down back into kind of this level over here. All right, so looking for shorts here as well. Euro. Just like the last one, again, Aussie yen sitting in areas where we've seen sellers step in. Euro yen just happens to be in the same position. Now, last time, again, this was also a level that we talked about last week, 121.34. And again, right here is where we were last week, right? Price continued to push away. And again, this was at Navarro from Monday night situation where, the trade deal was off. And it kind of, as you can see, it pushed all the way back down. We ended up bouncing off the level that we had talked about that, had shown us that there was buyers. It ended up rallying the end of the week all the way back up again. And what did it do? It hit the 121.40, right? Continue to push back down. So again, large spike today, just hit that zone and then pulled all the way back down again. So kind of the same scenario. this is not an Aussie play. This is a yen play. Okay, this is a yen play. And again, we have the Aussie level up, which leads me to believe that it's looking for a reversal. I'm already thinking reversal for Aussie, which also shows me that it's looking like there could be some yen strength based off an Aussie weakness, yen strength to the downside, which also carries over here. It's like dominoes, right? The Aussie links us into the Aussie yen. The Aussie yen links us into the Euro yen. And you see how this is lining up in this direction, which again could also lead us into what? The pound yen. Okay, so again, short bias for Euro yen just bounced off a zone we talked about last week. Oh, look at that. The Euro yen just happened to link us also into what? The pound yen. Okay, here was a setup that we talked about late last week as well. I believe that was with this group. Actually, it was at 26. So this was just my chart school guys. So I should probably remove that. I'm going to leave that there for them for tonight. But look at this. Do you think this would qualify? For those of you that know what the PR or parabolic retracements are, how about that? How about those marbles? Is this an extended range, very, very fast, sharp movement? Yes, absolutely. And what did it run into? An area of sellers. And kind of has the same look, right? We punched up, we pulled back. We punched higher again, pulled back. We put a green candle in it. It tried to go higher, but couldn't. So again, now we're thinking failure to go higher. This also looks like it wants to be negative. So Aussie into the Aussie yen, into the Euro yen, into the pound yen. And you guys see how the dominoes work here? And again, we can go over to the pound. And again, the pound is in an area. It's not as great though. Okay. It's not as high. Okay. It's right in this level. And as you guys can see, it is, again, similar pound. And again, this kind of links us back again. We had a bit of an entry and this one hit a zone. And this is something I marked off for my guys last night saying, you know, we got the entry for last night and we pushed down. Again, actually our entry was there. The second hit of this one, I actually said, hey, listen, we're good for one. We're probably good for two. And unfortunately, we weren't. We pushed back down again at base right below the level, which is typically a telltale sign we're breaking. We went higher, and now we're sitting in this upper level. But just like the pound yen, I'm also looking for a retrace in this one. And you can see we just went out of the zone. Now, the pound dollar is a knockout base pair. As you can see, actually, one of my knockouts did get broken here. So let me see which one am I missing. With this much movement, obviously, they're going to break. So, all right. Which two am I missing? I have the 122.34 is in. I have the 121.84 in. So it looks like I am missing the 1.2334. Oh, no, I have that one. Oh, no, that's the 120. Yeah, never mind. And the 1.2284. Bam, there we go. All right, so as you can see, this is not necessarily a great knockout-based trade. We're not necessarily close to it. Couple ways to play this one. Let's see. I mean, we've already moved a little bit in the last 30 minutes. Let's see. Call spread wise. And this is, so what I'm going over right now, guys, is when you set something up like this, and again, I love this call spread right here. I'm sorry, not call spread. This knockout, the 125.34, right? The 125.34 for those of you on the old platform, knockout number 8. That's in a great position to get short if price is able to rally that high. This, it's okay. There's a little bit of a zone here, right? If I continue this across, you can see that one is not in a bad position. This one, probably not so much. When you're in the middle of a range, remember, we go to option number 2, which would be a call spread, okay? As far as call spreads go, let me see what was in here. That level is approximately, let's see, looking at 23.82. Unfortunately, there's nothing on that one. The 11 to 1, 23.82. There's a 23.50. Nope, unfortunately, nothing there. Let's see on the daily. You know, it doesn't look like any of the call spreads match up either. So yeah, so wow. So this would have been a binary only base trade. Okay, the only option to trade this one would have been a binary. Now, as you guys know, what time do we typically look for reversals? This one actually kicked in at about 11 o'clock is where the reversal kicked in. And again, you need to wait to make sure that you are able to kind of get good range on this one. So let's see. Let me click the binaries on this one. All right. So the at the money at the 11 here. Let's see. When we pushed up during that candle, it would have been at, let's see, 23.77. And it looks like there was a 23.72. And right now we're at 23.57. So we've moved, about, we've moved about 3 strike prices to the downside. So not too bad. That one you would have been able to take probably about $18 to $20 worth of risk, and you could probably turn around and sell it right now for, it needs to move a little bit more. We need a little bit more in the next 24 minutes to the downside. This one's almost probably about a 2-to-1 right now. That would have been a 2-hour. I'm trying to check out the 12. Let's see, 12 would have kicked in. 12 would have moved already, unfortunately. Yeah, this would have been at best a binary trade. The problem with the binary right now is the 2-hour binaries, the strike differential is still 10 pips between that 11 and 12. 10's a bit much for this pair after a big, again, we're looking for a retrace, right? Catching the tail end of that one. So, I like this one to the downside. I don't know that I'm going to be able to find a Nadex position on that one to match up directly in that one. Going across the Euro Pound. Euro Pound is obviously going to look the exact opposite. There's a couple of different positions in here that I'd be looking at. Obviously, we had some basing here. You got front run, and again, it's that same kind of level. This is an area I marked off last night talking about if we had to break below, look to take this one short. And again, you guys can see this one not only kind of skirted along the top, it did fall, but now it's the opposite situation for a parabolic retracement. It has gone very, very far. It found an area, and I'll put a line here for you guys. You can see we almost hit the line exactly. This is where we started the week off with, actually this was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, actually no, that's the 29th. Yeah, that's the Sunday gap, okay? As much as I would like to say, I think this will continue the downside. I don't know that. The analysis is a bit different on this one. So we are very, very high on the curve. There is obviously a level. I would like to see this one continue to push back to the downside, and I think it's due. This, price being this high is a bit high. This is a little bit more for equilibrium for me, being back down here. Now, again, a lot of the things we've talked about right now have also been yen focused. This is not really a yen story. This is obviously a pound story, but I don't see anything from today to tomorrow that's going to really kind of change the pound's kind of movement. So what I'd like to see is, again, have this be our impulse move, have this be our correction move, and I like to see it continue push to the downside. Obviously, there's going to be a bit of a hiccup here, but I would like price to move back down into kind of this 4-hour zone before I'm willing to get long, okay? So although, again, we were going from Aussie dollar to Aussie yen to euro yen to pound dollar and kind of linking these across, the euro pound figure is a little bit different, as I'd like to see pound strength continue. And again, it's been really, really beat up. And I would really like to push, have that push back down into, again, into this zone back down here. Again, slight hiccup here, right about where we bounced. But if we start to get any type of confirmation, even on these lower time frames, that it's failing, that could be a short position for me in the near term. Now, this pair will also trade on Friday, but remember, this pair will be done by noon, well, basically by 11 o'clock in the afternoon. So again, this does have some tradable assets, and there is news on Friday morning. Okay, there is news on Friday morning that we can trade. Okay, now euro dollar. Euro dollar is kind of bouncing back and forth. As you can see, we did just bounce off of a 4-hour zone. That's marked off of right here. You can see we really touched it. I mean, again, small zone, kind of aggressive. Like I said, if you would have dropped down to a lower time frame, the entry on this one was 111.79. It didn't. It actually turned as soon as we hit the 4-hour level. And that's the risk sometimes. The risk is bigger using a 4-hour zone. It's about 24 pips. Dropping it down to refine our zone, we were able to take this down and have it only be about 10 pips, 11 pips. So less than half the risk. Problem is, we got a little bit too conservative and it cost us here. It hit the zone and it spiked away. Nice movement. It looks like it moved about 70 pips away. Bit of a big move. Now, this one does have a knockout bracket here. Not a valid knockout bracket to me. I see the turning point just slightly above that. So unfortunately, that one is not going to work. This one up here, there is one that's a bit more on the aggressive side, and that's not horrible. And then again, this one up top. The euro is not really matching as much for me right now with where knockouts are. Last week, it was great. As you can see on the 4-hour, this knockout is kind of sitting right here, kind of in the middle of the zone. And then this one is at the near side of it. I don't mind this one, the 114.24. ceiling knockout, that's in a good position, but we need to have a bit of a rally. We need price to kind of pull up about 156 pips. The daily ATR is 91. So that's at least 2 days worth of movement. That puts us into Thursday. The dollar is out. Running out of time on that one, so that's probably more of a next week type setup. All right, unfortunately, that not much we can do about that. Now, dollar CAD, lots of movement on dollar CAD. All right, I had this position marked off. Let me kind of push it all the way across. As you can see, we had levels where sellers had stepped into this market and punched this back to the downside. We saw it here, we saw it here, we saw this one get front run. This formed a new level, particularly on the 1 hour. Okay, there's your 1 hour level. I marked this off last night and said if price comes up to this 136.96, we should short, and if we can get down to 136.21, we should sell. On this one, as obviously, again, this one lined up perfectly. About 7 o'clock this morning, we punched into that zone, ended up giving us a tumble of about 76 pips. Now, how did I come up with that one, right? We talked about this last week, right? 4 hour wise, we knew that we had a little bit of a level sitting right here, right? We'd marked this off and said, hey, listen, let's dial it down. Let's see what's close, right? Right here, right? Drop, base, big push. Telltale sign there's some sellers. What do? We hit and punch down. So hey, listen, on a 4 hour basis, that's going to be a little bit more risk. Let's drop it down to an hourly, which led us to drop down to this. Okay. And again, there's that. Actually, let me go back up and I'll change this one to a different color so we know. There we go. Dropping it down lower, we can say, okay, that's where the hit is. How do we create a new zone off of this one? You can say, okay, well, here's where that turn is, right? There's that turn, right? And you can see the white box is inside of that, right? You see the white box, whoops. You guys get my point. If I extend this white box, that's where that is coming from. As you can see, we hit here. If you want to lower your risk, you could. If not, that's where that entry was right here. There's your risk to reward ratio on that one. And as you guys can see, 1 to 5, 1 to 1, 1 to 3 was good. And it actually cranked that 1 to 5 target. All right. So again, this one was set up pretty well. Where we are now, we are in an area of buyers. Okay. So I can continue this across. This was this level. And again, a little buyer here. What I would do at this point is I would probably move. I would use these zones down here. And actually, is that the 4 hour? Yeah, I would use the 4 hour. Oops. Let me leave that on, leave that on, leave that on. There. All right. I would use, let's see, this level here. I think that's not a bad one. And that's actually a 4 hour level with about 15 pips risk. So I would be looking for this level right here. Whoops. Right there. Let me change out the white just so I don't confuse it. Like, why do you have some white and why do you have some that are bisque or whatever the heck it's called? There we go. All right, so that moves down to here. All right, so still valid, 136.96 and 135.58. Okay, so there's your top and bottom. Wait till it moves. We're sitting in the middle right now. Now, dollar yen. Dollar yen, we got all kinds of stuff. So this was kind of the same thing. This one's a little bit busier. We actually had a trade set up, guys. You can see we went all the way down to the profit target, and then it rallied higher. So this was one that I'm going to leave on. It's going to make this a little bit confusing. But again, this was one of the trades that we set up from last night. So I'm going to make sure that I keep that on there so I can cover it with them tonight. If price is able to go higher up to this 108.13 to 108.23, I do actually have sells up there as well. I have a couple of different alerts set. That level is based off of, I believe it's an hourly. Yeah, it's an hourly based level, and it's right here. Actually, no, that was a 30-minute level. So again, price is a little bit higher. Things that I watch for on this one, again, on the 4 hour, you can see we had some basing in this level. Again, there's a bit of basing up here, and again, that's kind of where I'm pointing this, is where I think this is going to go. As you can see, there's a lot of indecision on the 1 hour today. I mean, again, spiked all the way down, grabbed zones here, spiked all the way back up again. Here is your bottom piece of that one, right? And you can see what we spiked into. So again, news-based spike. Honestly, in this one, with it chopping back and forth, Powell is speaking right now. He's about 15 minutes in. He can move this one around a lot. I think this one is going to be very sensitive to the non-farm, or like basically the payroll data for the next 2 days. The way that I would play this one, guys, is I would go up to a 4 hour. There's not really much on the 4 hour. I would look at a 30-minute chart about a half hour before the news comes out tomorrow. I think that's going to give you the best opportunity. Look for small levels like that. Like this was a great level. We had a failure to go higher. I'd seen it respected once. I was looking for respecting again, and it did. It ended up going all the way down. Kind of the same thing, but I think this level up here at 108.13 is probably a good target. Looking for getting an entry off of that one. On the other side, I mean, there's a couple small levels in here. Probably here. And again, this is at a level, again, wick over wick. It was tested once, tested twice, but both reactions have been great moves off of it. And again, requires a lot of movement. We kind of need this to move up or down. I kind of needed to do something. Like I said, it's closer to the higher area. I would say for the week, I'm overly bearish this one, or leaning more towards the bearish side, in my opinion. But I don't really, there's not really a great setup. Like I said, the best one would be the 108.13. Dean, this is MT4. It's just an open source platform that I'm primarily a currencies trader, but I have indices, commodities, and Forex on here because this is based off of a funded trading account. So I have everything up in one. That's why. I just try to use a simple one for charting purposes. That's all. Just try to keep it simple. I do a lot of stuff with Ninja, but Ninja can get quite complicated, and people are like, what is this one? Why is it doing that? What's that look like? And again, just trying to focus on the simple charts, and they don't come much more simple than this. So yeah, dollar yen, I'm just not loving it, right? Dollar Swiss, we've seen dollar Swiss pull around. So this is one that we had a bit of a setup on last night for my students. Again, here's an example, guys, of that parabolic retracement, that launch forward, and then you look for a retrace, and that's exactly what it did. The entry on this one got a little bit murky, but again, had you taken this in spot currencies, would we have gotten stopped out on this entry? And the answer is yes. Okay, yes. Had we taken the same exact trade inside of Nadex with knockout number 5226, we would have survived. Now, it looks like price went above, but it looks like, oh, let me check. Before I say anything, let me check. Let me make sure that one still exists. No, that one actually did get taken out on the downside. Again, binary situation on this one. Knockout would have been great, but it looks like it did. It looks like it dinged the knockout here on the way up, unfortunately. What's the next one? Oh, no, never mind. It's in there still. Knockout number 6 still exists. Yeah, never mind. It did make it. So again, remember, my charting is a little bit different than what the indicative values are inside of Nadex. This one went slightly higher by about 3 pips. So it survived in Nadex land and ended up pushing all the way back down about 66 pips. So again, here's that parabolic retracement I talked about. We are more on the bottom side right now. Last week, we had talked about 95.20 being sell zones and 94.39 being buys. Here, I'll take it to an hourly. Oh, it's on an hourly. Here's where we were last week, right here. Okay, we were sitting in that buy zone. As you guys can see, we went all the way up, hit, and there's the sell. So again, make sure you guys continue to track these week to week. I know a lot of people are like, what can I trade today? But this is one that ended up kicking in late last night, or yesterday afternoon, and then this morning it's already completed all the way through. So again, some good setups from week to week. I think this one will probably start flatlining right now. You guys can see big spike up, big drop down again, but we're sitting in a big area where we have a bunch of buyers. I don't know that Powell can move this one, but I don't think there's going to be too much more that he's going to say at this point that will really be some type of firecracker for this pair. Non-farm will move it a little bit, but there'll be better opportunities with non-farm. Typically, dollar Swiss is not the non-farm payroll number. Anything, I would say that, look, we're channeling top to bottom. Again, 95.20, 94.40 be the two areas that I would still, be focused on. Okay, I'll move this to the downside here, just so it's easy to see. All right. All right, so let's go across to gold. So gold had a big area. So we actually had a position, if gold was breaking through this 1776, we're like, listen, if we can get up here, yeah, that would be a buy or a sell. We actually had a buy level down here as well, down at 1765, and you can see that it ended up coming back down to 1764. So we missed it by $1, right? We ended up breaking much, much higher. So as I've mentioned in the past, when this is kind of at these near-term, basically all-time highs, and this goes for anything, whether it be NQ, gold, whatever it is, the way to play this is the kind of failure to go higher situation, okay? So this one ended up coming out. We got to take that one off. Here, we'll take this one off because that one ended up blowing right through that one pretty quick. And again, that consumer confidence number, it's hard to debate that consumer confidence number. And for a short-term entry on this one. So a lot of you have heard me talk about this in the past, and maybe this is the golden nugget for some of the new people. We don't have an entry. What we're looking for is something like this, where it's got to be quick. Remember, failure to go higher is kind of a quick scenario, something fast, something like this, right? Something like this, where we punch up, we push away, and within 5 or 6 candle bars, it comes back up again. But see how it was a clean top, very noticeable top, and kind of a quick retest, right? We don't have that currently right now. We have a bunch of muddledness going back and forth right now, even on the 30 minutes. So this one is not ready to start selling yet, but the way that this moved, again, guys, here's a quick drop and a retrace. Kind of thinking the same thing, but we need entry off the top. It's just not there yet. But I have to say, look for, there could be a potential gold short in here. I don't really see much of an area where I'd be willing to jump in long. If anything, I would say, hey, listen, I don't disagree with gold being this high, but the ascent and how fast it happened, I do think that that's a little bit off. Okay, the consumer confidence number was good, but not that good. I'd be looking for somewhat of a retrace, whether tonight or tomorrow. Going into silver. Silver is actually approaching a level. Now, we had a near-term level here and ended up bouncing off of that level, dropping even farther again. So there was a couple different trade setups here in the overnight, and then it kind of flatlined on us and caught some ground. Now it's pushing higher. So the next zone that I actually have 2 marked off, but the 4-hour zone actually kicks in at $18.32. I know not as many people trade these. These are not knockout-based commodities. Unfortunately, the knockout-based commodities are crude and gold, not silver. So this is kind of a binary / call spread setup for commodities. It's not bad. This one's okay. Like I said, big spike up. I am looking for this one to retrace as well, but I think we need to get a little bit higher to kind of increase our odds. This is one of those ones you want to stack the odds in your favor as much as possible. And like I said, you guys can see we're just a bit far from it. Yes, we're sitting in, for some of those that know what this the indicator does, we're sitting inside of a daily supply zone or selling area right now. Going up to the 4-hour one reduces the risk, and look, we've seen price slam it down, slam it down, slam it down. So I think 1832 is a much better area to get short, but I do agree that this one also needs to be short. Now, crude oil is the last one. Let me pull that up. I thought I still had my crude up here. Nope. Let me pull crude real fast for you guys. Daily FX, let's go across, pull some crude oil in here. Let's go ahead and punch this crude oil up. All right, so crude oil. So as you can see on a macro level, on the daily, right, crude oil is kind of flirting with this area. We've kind of put one high in and then pushed lower to grab some more orders. And we made another high, and then we kind of had a couple of days of basing, right? So this is what we had here. And again, last night for my group, I talked about in the overnight, I saw a lot of negativity, right? We saw a lot of pushing, and we were able to grab some orders this morning, which is actually a little bit surprising. I didn't think we'd grab that much, but what I was doing, and again, the reason I want to show you this is because we had, again, I just mentioned it to you a second ago, guys, that failure to go higher situation right here, right? I'll extend this across so you can see it. Here's where price punched higher, pulled back, kind of came up and did not go as high. So there would be your exit, right? And then here would be your short position, right? Take this down, and we went right to there. Okay, so it's about a 2.5 to 1. The 3 to 1 would have been right here, is a little bit far, but again, we're kind of sitting in that same zone now. So you got to be thinking, are we in an area where we should see some selling? And the answer is yeah. I mean, we're kind of getting late in the day. It made its strong rally today. Again, in the overnight, it went low, 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 ran into some buyers, punched up. We're in that same area again. Now, looking to the left, we need to prepare for the oil inventory report tomorrow. Obviously, there's a lot of time. We have about 22 hours before we get to that level. The rest of the day today looks like we could put in some negative sentiment in. We know that there are going to be buyers stepping in back down here around the 38.80 level. Looking to the left, you can see that we've had a little kind of a little hiccup. I mean, I could take this and bring this across over into this level. I could take it one higher and kind of put us here. Again, the last time the price came up in this level at $40.11, you can see it led to a big push to the downside. Being at 39.58 or 39.60 right now, if we can get a continued slow rally now and then into the overnight into this level, this could set up an interesting short possibility for tomorrow morning, right? Oil inventory, if we drive into a zone that we've seen sellers, and again, it could go even higher and be even more excited about that, look for some shorts coming off these zones. And again, drop it to a 30-minute, we could probably refine these levels a little bit. Yeah, we could refine this level basically like into that level right there. We could probably make it a little bit smaller, but that level's fine, right? So it looks like this would be up here around $40 and $40 and about 29 cents, right? Looking for something potentially like this, and then set it up originally for your 3-to-1, something along those lines, which would make sense, right? Grind slow in the overnight, punch us up to that level, because again, if you want to sell something, you want to sell it for as much as you possibly can. Get it to the $40.30. Look to take that short. News punches it back down, and what is it at? The same exact level we've been kind of drawn towards today, right? Basically means that it was really nothing. You know, the market tried to prepare for it. It came in as nothing and came right back down again. So not a bad little piece right there, right? Again, that would be the oil setup for tomorrow. For the most part, guys, that was the last one of the charts. I would say that I think the biggest opportunity exists right now in kind of retracing the yen and then also dealing with the pound. And again, the indices are also in situation or, positions where I think we are due for, a bit of a retrace. All right. So with that being said, mark your calendars off for this time next week, July. I can't believe I'm saying it. July 7th, guys. We are into July, halfway through the year, 12 p.m. Maybe next week what I'll do is I'll do like a 6-month in review session. We'll kind of see where we are and things to look forward to. And if you guys have any questions with anything I said today, you guys are more than happy to screenshot this. You guys can hit the website. You can join me on Facebook. I don't post on Facebook and Instagram as much with the summer being here. But again, I am definitely in Discord. I do Twitch streams at night. Or if you have any questions, again, you always have the ability to email me at support@keeptradingsimple.com, and I will try to further explain, or there's something I said or something that I went over today. All right. If you have questions about Nadex or the new Nadex website or the new Nadex platform, don't hesitate to email those questions into Nadex as well, and those guys will give you help out. All right. So with that said, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys coming out. Everybody have a safe 4th of July, and I'll see you guys next week. You guys take care.